Días para
Grabación.
todos.
Muy buenos días, Yuri. Bueno, entonces el día de hoy vamos a tener con nosotros a la profesora Claudia Marcela Suescún, alguien que es amigoniana 100%, todo su estudio superior, desde el pregrado hasta ahora como estudiante del doctorado, lo hace en la universidad. Eh, Además, tengo el orgullo de decir que fue mi estudiante, ahora mi
Y
colega.
yo el orgullo de decir que fui tu estudiante.
Gracias, Claudia. Y de verdad, muchísimas gracias por tu disposición y buena energía para hacer este encuentro. A medida que vayan llegando pues otras personas, les voy actualizando en el chat el listado de asistencia. Ya lo voy a volver a actualizar porque acaba de llegar Yuri para que puedan acceder a él más tardecito y así diligencien su asistencia en dicho formato. Voy a volver a colocarlo acá y ahí va. Ahí está, actualizado para Yuri. Creo que para Alejo no había llegado cuando yo lo había colocado, pero ya ahora sí lo pueden llenar. Y bueno, los dejo, yo voy a estar acá pendiente todo el tiempo. Y the floor is yours, my dear Claudia.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, good morning. I hope that you are doing very well. Today, we're going to talk a little bit, well, partially about the English test of Saber-Pro, but also the tips I'm going to give you also work for other type of standardized tests. Okay, so we're going to take a look at what we know. Okay, we're going to start from there. What do we know about this test? What is the structure of the test and the types of questions that you can find? We're going to do some practice, both identifying and answering questions. And as I tell you, I'm going to give you a couple of tips. Finally, at the end, we're going to do a practical exercise that is partially for you as students and also partially for you as teachers, okay? Because when we take this type of test, we are also acquiring the ability of preparing others for it, okay? So being a teacher also gives us that possibility of maybe helping our 11th graders to prepare for the Saber 11 English test, or for other colleagues when they are taking Saber-Pro. So let's begin here by talking. What do you know about this part of the Saber-Pro test? What do we know about the English section of the Saber-Pro? Or what do you think about it?
Teacher, honestly, and hello again.
Hello.
I don't know. I don't have idea about what is the main intention or objective about this, or what is looking for about us. I don't know.
All right, well, this logically this test is intended for something. Let's begin there. What do you think that is intended for? What do you think is the purpose of including an English test in a standardized test like Saber-Pro? Alejo, go ahead.
Well, to measure our level of proficiency in the language.
All right, good. Any other intention, perhaps, or objective? No? All right, so we have, well, not we, let's say the education ministry of Colombia has some objectives that normally are stated in the bilingualism linguistic policies that they publish. The objective, one of the objectives of the Ministry of Education is to have a certain number of people being bilingual. Okay, so this basically measures how well are they doing with that goal. How many students are reaching that level, that required level of English proficiency when they finish both high school and any kind of degree. So based on that, because this is a test that is not only for English teachers, it is a test for everybody. What do you think is the level? Which one do you think is the level that is being intended?
Teacher,
Alejo.
uh, well, if it is for the kind of education we are receiving, which is professional education, so I will say it is intended to measure a C1 level. I don't know. But you said it's for everyone, right?
It's for
It's the same
everyone.
test for everyone.
For
And
everyone.
the standard level that the government requires for each professional is a B2. So I don't know if that is the level they are measuring.
Okay, so almost there. Okay, fortunately, the Ministry of Education with this particular test has flexibilized certain parts or certain content of the test. So we are mostly finding questions here that belong to a B1 level. There are some of them that are going to be a little bit higher, that is true. Because eventually the objective is to get to that B2 level with professionals, okay? But at this time, it is designed to have partially a B1 level, okay? So most of the questions here belong to that level of the Common European Framework, okay? So two key aspects. Why do we do it? Because all professionals need to do it so the Ministry of Education can have its statistics. And second, the average level of the questions is a B1, okay? Even though, as I told you, so this is something that we need to pay attention to. Some of the questions have a higher level. And some of them even like a slightly lower level. I wouldn't say A2, but something like a lower B1, all right? Now, let's talk about the test structure. There are basically two types of questions and two focuses or two, let's say, sections of the test. The types of questions can be multiple choice or multiple matching. And the focus of the test, for example, it doesn't have a listening component. It's focused on structure and vocabulary. Basically, the first part is structure and vocabulary, and the second is reading comprehension. Okay? There was some debate about including listening, reading, and writing. However, this became a little bit too, well, this made the test even longer than it already is. So they just left it there. Okay, so notice that the focus is not so much on all of the abilities, but on some specific ones. Okay, so multiple choice and multiple matching are the types of questions that we find. We're not going to find open-ended answers. You're not going to be required to write, okay? Or to, let's say, transform words. So anything that will require writing, everything is choosing. And also, well, the focus, as I told you, the first part is on structure and vocabulary, and the second on reading comprehension, right? So let's get to the practice part, okay? I'm going to give you some examples, and with all of the examples that we do today, we're going to identify the type of question and the focus, okay? Ready?
Yes.
Perfect. Now let's take a look at that question or those 5 questions. All right, so let's identify. Okay, so which is the type of question? Is this a multiple choice or a multiple matching? What do you think, guys?
Teacher, I believe there is
Multiple matching.
multiple matching, but
Mhm.
with only
It
one
is.
answer.
This is a multiple matching. How do we identify it? Because we have several questions and several answers, okay, that each of them can belong to either of the 5 questions. The multiple choice format is 1 question and 3 or 4 options. Okay, normally in this sense, we normally have 3. Okay, and which will be the focus? Is this focus on reading comprehension or on grammar and vocabulary, structure and vocabulary? What do you think?
I'm sorry, teacher, could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What about the focus? Is this focus on grammar and vocabulary or on reading comprehension?
I think could be both.
Well, obviously we will need to read, but is the key or the, let's say, spotlight on the ability to read and understand a full text or on identifying key vocabulary?
Key vocabulary.
Mhm. So this question belongs to that first section, which focuses on structure and vocabulary. Okay, so now let's answer the question. As you can see here, we have 5 questions and 8 possible answers. What does that mean? That there are 3 answers that we do not need to use. All right. So let's answer the first one. Okay, so let me, I got that. Which will be the first one. Okay, people often cry when they feel this. Is that A, B, C, D, E, F, G?
F.
Okay, so it would be sad.
I mean, I
Good.
also cry when I feel angry, but in this case, I would say sad.
Yeah, that's true. And okay, and thank you for that, Alejo, because this we base on, let's say, a general perspective. What do you think the question wants? So even though there might be situations that are different for us, we need to focus on what is, let's say, generally accepted, right? Okay, if we feel like this, we want to eat something. Okay, so for example, when I am sad, I eat a lot. Okay, but that will not be the case. Okay, what will be generally accepted?
E.
Okay, very good. E, hungry. Okay, when we hate something, we sometimes feel like this.
B.
All right, in this case, it will be B. Very good. some people usually feel when it's hot and need something, need to drink something.
G.
All right, G. And finally, a person feels like this when they need to sleep after a long day or after 1 week of being a teacher.
H.
H, very good. Okay. Even though, well, I think and I hope that in our cases, we feel tired, but also happy. All right, very good, guys. Okay, so let's move on and let's talk about some tips. This particular set of questions, and let me give you a little anecdote here. Back in the day, I did my ICFES test. It was not called Saber-11, but ICFES in 11th grade. And back then, we're talking about the year 1998. Some of you were not even born. English was not a mandatory test. English was one of the elective tests that the test had. So it had French, German, English as electives. Okay, so they were not like a mandatory part of the test like it is now. So I chose like, I am good at English, so I'm going to choose the English test. I remember the very first question. It had a picture of a fruit, and below it said, what is this? And it said an apple, an orange, a banana, or a grape. And it was an apple. And I was like, okay, maybe it's the first question, the one that they put the easiest, so you get like a little bit of confidence. But I think the rest of the test will go uphill from there. So, so I answered the first question, and then the second, and the third, and the fourth, and I finished like the 30 or 40 questions that the test had in a matter of minutes. So when I finished, I was like, it cannot be. It's impossible that is this easy. That is this easy. It's impossible. I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to like double check. But turns out that it was that easy. It was. So the first step that we sometimes, okay, some questions are very, very obvious. So you answer it like really quick. Yes, it is a good idea to sometimes go back and double check, especially because you have an answer sheet. So you need to make sure that the question that you answer in the answer sheet is the one that you intended to, okay? But sometimes, okay, I mean, I took a very, very long time checking that, okay, but because I doubted myself and I say, okay, I might know a little bit, but I cannot be this good. Okay, so let's try not to doubt ourselves very much. Because as I told you, in some cases, the questions are going to be very, very obvious, especially for you guys. Now, if you have a doubt, if you have like, like for example, back here, if you have a doubt regarding one of these, for example, people often cry when they feel like this. So Alejo said, okay, when I'm angry, sometimes I cry. And it is true for a lot of us, okay? Not only when we are sad, okay? So let's go back and let's analyze in terms of what I told you. From those two options, we can discard the rest, obviously, but in some questions, it will not be that obvious. Try to pick two. And then you discard that and try to leave only two options to choose from. And how are we going to, let's say, choose from what is a little bit more socially accepted, okay? What is more socially accepted? That is the question that we need to aim at. All right. All right. Moving on. Let's take a look at another question. So let's remember, we're going to identify type and focus. All right. Now, is this focus on structure and vocabulary or in reading comprehension? What is the focus of these questions? What do you think, guys?
Teacher, I don't know, maybe. I mean, as you said, there is always a component of reading, you know, you have to read. But I think it's a part of the grammar, since you have to understand lexically how the sentence is structured and yeah, what will be the possible context, I'm sorry, answer of the context. So
Ding,
yeah,
ding,
I
ding,
would.
ding. Exactly. So the focus is on a structure because yes, of course, we always need to read and understand, but we are matching what will be the correct answer according to the question or to the statement, which will be the response. Okay, so this, as you can see here, it's not only about understanding the question or the statement and how to answer it. So this is partially structure and vocabulary, but also it focuses on the pragmatics of the language. Okay, its social use. Okay, because for example, if somebody asks you the first questions, do you prefer cats or dogs? And somebody asks you, oh, all right, what is going on there? Okay, so this is also addressing partially a little bit of pragmatics. Okay, and what about the question type? Is this multiple matching or multiple choice?
Multiple choice.
Very good, because each question has three possibilities. So notice that, for example, here we have this question and it's not connected to the rest. Okay, we just focus on that one. Okay, do you prefer cats or dogs? And well, which will be the answer? Okay, so now let's answer them. Okay, so what about this first question? Do you prefer cats or dogs? Which will be the most suitable answer?
Both are nice.
Okay, both are nice. Very good. I totally agree with that because I think that having cats and having dogs are both options are good. All right, I forgot to turn the lights off. Which will be the most suitable answer there?
Are you sure?
All right. Could we have maybe a conflicting answer there? And somebody that will say like, this could be another possibility.
Maybe asking, yeah, how about this? I don't know.
Like, exactly, like, how about this? Okay, you forgot to turn off the lights again. Okay, so it will be like another possible answer. However, okay, however, we need also to think about which will be the most suitable answer, okay? The one that doesn't imply sarcasm or irony in this case, okay? So both options, let's say, that are viable. So we may have a little bit of doubt there. So we need to pass both questions through the filter of which will be the most straightforward, socially accepted response. All right. Okay, I'm afraid my sister is sick. And we will answer, oh, too late. Right? Or not?
No.
Ay, no, qué pesar.
Oh my God. Lena, how are you reading that? Oh my God. How are you thinking about that? My God. Okay, so which will be the answer there? Okay, so I'm afraid my sister is like, oh, can I go now? I do not like sick people. So we may have a conflict like between can I go now or oh, I'm sorry, which will be again more socially accepted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so because I mean, when somebody is sick, we don't say like, "Hey, congratulations, your sister is sick and you're not." You know, we say, "Oh, I'm sorry." So you offer your.
Too late will be like saying llórela, something like that
Ay,
in
my
Spanish.
God. Ay, my God, Alejo, you're so mean sometimes.
Sorry.
Don't worry. All right. Very good. Let's continue. All right, so let's go to park next weekend. Which one will be the most socially accepted answer? And especially if you're a teacher and you have like 10 million things to do, and somebody tells you, "Oh, let's go to park next weekend." What would you answer?
The most suitable could be great idea, but also could be as soon as possible.
Yeah, because you can say, "Hi, no, let's not go to park next weekend, but this weekend. Hey, let's go on Saturday." Because I need to relax from the 10 million things I need to do. Okay, but I mean, most suitable answer there. Okay, because even take a look at that. Play the situation in your head. Let's go to a park next weekend, and you answer as soon as possible. I mean, it will still be missing something there. Okay, something like, I no. How about if we go as soon as possible? Okay, so it will need a little bit more to fully make sense, right? And can I talk to you for a minute? Okay, so again, if you're a very busy teacher, you say, okay, just one. But we normally, especially as teachers, we normally tend to, or I want to think, I think that all Amigoniano teachers, we are like this. That if a student or anyone comes to us and says, "Hi, can I talk to you for a minute?" What will we answer?
Yeah,
Of
of
course.
course.
Of course. All right. Okay, or because we all say, okay, of course you can talk to me, but let's try to make it brief. Okay, because if you say like just one, right, that will be a little bit curt, a little bit abrupt. Okay, so again, not so socially accepted. Okay, or imagine saying like, can I talk to you for a minute? Hey, be careful. Right? Doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, guys, very good. Questions so far? You can interrupt me and ask me any questions that you have at any time. All right. All right. So moving on. we're going to take a look at some reading comprehension text tips. Guys, a lot of people started, and this is something that I insist very much on, especially since I became an examiner. I know that this actually works. Read the full text first. Get a general idea of the topic and the structure of the test, okay? Because a lot of people start reading the questions, okay? And they say, okay, what are they going to ask of me? And then they give the answers like crazy, okay? Because they didn't read the text first. And second reason is because it is actually more time consuming to start reading the questions and then reading the text. Because as you already know the questions, you're trying to look for the answers. So you're not going to get the general idea, and normally you're going to have to read more times to get the answers that you need. But if you read the full text first, you get a general idea of the topic and the structure. When you get to the questions, you can start with the questions that you can answer after that first read, and then return to the test to find details that you are being asked, okay? For Saber-Pro reading has the two types of questions, general understanding and specific details. So it is fundamental that we focus on both aspects. First, on a general reading, okay, to get like the general ideas. And then after we know the structure of the test, we know where the other details are, okay? And also, specifically for one type of the first type, normally is the first type of reading comprehension exercise, we can start anticipating answers, okay? So try to anticipate as many answers as you can. So let's begin with this one. Going to practice reading the text first and then answering the questions. This one is about Greek and Roman cultures. Okay, so let's give a very quick read at the text. All right, guys, ready? Guys, do you finish reading?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so take a look at the structure. What is the structure of this test telling us? Do you think that the questions are going to focus on general ideas or on specific details?
More likely on specific details.
Because we are doing reading comprehension. As you can see, the text is not very long, okay? But we have some details that have that need filling, okay? So it's not going to be like general ideas, okay? Because we are taking a look at the context, but emphasizing a little bit more on the structure. As I told you, a text like this normally goes in the first part, or is the first exercise of the reading comprehension section, okay? Why? Because it is like establishing the bridge or building the bridge between the first part that focus mostly on vocabulary and structure and introducing the second part. So it's a transition exercise that has a little bit of both focuses on reading comprehension and also structure and vocabulary, okay? Now, let's try to anticipate some answers. For example, 0, which do you think which word will fit here?
I thought about has. I'm sorry, have.
All right, very good. Okay, let me put it a little bit smaller, okay? Have fascinated humans for a century. Sadly, many people today, okay, so again, let's try to guess. The questions are in the next slide, but we are trying to anticipate answers, okay? Sadly, many people today know the differences between Greeks and Romans.
Don't.
All right, so something like don't, whoops, don't, very good, can be. Some people think Romans are an extension of Greeks. Others assume that the two are similar. In fact, the two are very different one another. What do you think, guys? Which will be the word here?
From.
All right. From another and show opposite life values. Okay, so Greeks and Romans were great architects. So we need a connector there.
I'll say, for example.
Which
or both.
All right, so
Or
something like that.
Both.
Okay, so both.
So that it involves then the following idea.
Exactly. Very, very good. Okay, and this was an advantage that we have from reading the whole text, okay? That we know what the rest of the text is talking about, so we have a more accurate idea of what fits. Okay, read is used to more about shape than function. What do you think which word goes here?
Worry.
Okay, worry. Okay. And the most important thing was making beautiful building.
Thought.
Okay, and why not think?
Because I mean, their narrative is in past.
Exactly. And we know this because we already read the text. They thought the most important thing was making beautiful buildings. Romans were perfect engineers. Okay, so what is it doing there? It's contrasting, right?
While.
Okay, so while, again, while Romans were perfect engineers, for whom street planning and use had the greatest importance. What is it doing there? Okay, so it says, while Romans were perfect engineers, for
Romans, I mean for them.
Okay, so for them, all right. Greeks admire poets and philosophers. Romans admired their soldiers who were extremely brave and successful. Again, it's kind of contrasting, but we already use while.
Whereas.
Okay, another very good connector. Okay, Romans admired their soldiers. Okay, so we have successfully anticipated all of them. Okay, why? Again, because we had an understanding of the full structure of the test and what was the intention that it had on each of the paragraph. Okay, so if you just go and read question by question and then sentence by sentence in the text, you're going to take a much longer time to complete all of the answers. So for example, this you can do in the booklet. In the question booklet, you can write on the question booklet. And then once you're done, take a look at the question and contrast. Okay, so let's take a look at the questions that we have on the next slide. Okay, so for example, do you see, for example, a lot of the questions, sorry, a lot of the words that you anticipated? For example, here, exactly the same one. Here, exactly the same. Okay, in number 11, exactly the same one. Okay. Okay, in number 12, we have among, against, or from. Okay. Okay, so, and I forgot the two. In fact, the two are very different from one another. Okay, so we had that one. From, okay, it is there. In number 13, we wrote both, okay? Same ones. Number 14, Greeks used to more about shape than function, okay? So worry, okay? So here we have a question that is basically, let's say, focusing on the structure, okay? So again, it has to do with the reading, okay? But it also has to do with the structure. For example, in number, oh my God, what is going on with me? Number 15, okay? We say thought, okay? And here we have believed, believes, and believe, okay? We still have the notion that is in past, okay? Different verb, okay? But we can find a synonym easier because we know the tense that we are looking for, okay? In number 16, we use however instead of whereas, okay? Or while, okay? But still, we know that we are looking for a connector, okay? For a connector of contrast, okay? Almost not a connector of contrast. Indeed, not a connector of contrast, okay? because almost is not even a connector, okay? And indeed is a connector that serves another purpose, okay? Number 17, for them, we had the exact same answer. And in the last one, we have another connector of contrast, okay? So you decide, okay? So whereas, which will be a good synonym for that, but or so, okay? So notice that anticipating those answers is very, very useful when we are in this type of exercise. Let's do one more reading exercise. Okay, this one is a little bit longer, so let's take a look at the full text first. All right, guys, ready? You finished reading?
Teacher, I'm done.
Not yet? All right. Okay, what about the rest? Are we done reading?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Okay, so now let's take a look at the questions. Okay, and let's begin by answering all of the questions that we can. Okay, so first one, John Humphrey Knowles traveled to New York State to what? To visit his family, to change his way of life, or to know more about this country? Why did he travel there? Anyone? Or we don't have an answer yet?
I'd say, you know, I'm not speaking too much because I think I have been speaking all the meeting long.
Nah, it's okay, Ale.
To know more about its country. That is the one I think.
All right, so let's leave this one here and we'll go back to the test. Okay, so
But
don't worry.
teacher, now that I remember, he said that he had some relatives in that place, so maybe to visit his family. I don't know. I'm
Okay,
confused.
so
I think it's A.
I think it's A, to visit his family. Okay, and I think also Ricardo.
But Ricardo
Okay.
left. I think it's
well,
me. He wanted to change his way of life according to
okay, let's leave it there.
information.
So we need maybe a little bit more of detail, but where do we find this answer? At the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the test?
I don't really remember, but I think it's in the middle. I mean, when they explain what that group of people went to do there, but more specifically when they mention his name.
Okay,
Like
so
he-
it's not at the end. So we have a vague
Mhm.
idea of where is the answer. This is the advantage that that I told you about the structure. They have a vague idea of where can you go and look for that answer, because right now we don't have it. Okay,
Mhm.
nowadays, what is Oneida? From what was described? Is it a hotel, a display, or a school?
It's basically a hotel.
Right? Because it describes rooms and their own bathroom and some areas. Okay.
Ricardo is back so that he can participate too.
Okay. Awesome. Welcome back, Ricardo. Okay. The writer visited the place, and we're not talking about John Humphrey Knowles, but the writer.
Mhm.
Okay. So why did the writer visit the place? No answer yet? Okay.
I'm sorry, for the 21st, that one? Question 21 or
Yeah, question
21.
21. Mhm.
the
Question
21,
21.
I'm sorry. Because he had family who had lived there.
Yes, I
All right.
agree.
Okay, awesome. If you want to see the building, okay, what can you do, or what do you need to do? If you have no answer yet, that is fine. Now, let's go to question 23 to see if we can answer it. All visitors to the Oneida Historical Site have access to most parts of the house, to 19th century library, or are not allowed to see certain places. Which will be the most comprehensive answer, because this question is general understanding.
Something to be inferred, right? Somehow.
But this is mentioned several times throughout all of the text. Okay, so we have answered questions 20. Sorry, Alejo, go ahead.
Yes, I have an idea about the 23. All visitors have access to most part of the house. Then in the text, they mentioned that, yeah, people had access to different rooms and to, I don't know if the library, to be honest, but there are some places they don't have access to.
Exactly. But they say that you can visit the library and the gardens, and some of the rooms, etc. All right, very good. So notice that with that first read, we answered 3 out of the 5 questions there. Okay, so we answer basically 60% with that first read. Now, what do we do when we go back to the text? Or yeah, when we go back to the to reading text, we do 2 things. One, we try to look for the answers of the 2 questions that we didn't answer, which are 19 and 22, right? And we check. We have the opportunity again of checking the answers that we already had, okay? But why? But how? With a with a wider understanding of the test structure and where can we go looking for the answers that we do not have yet. Okay, so let's go back to the test and let's try to look for the first answer. Why did John Humphrey Noyes travel to New York State? Okay, so we have.
It's at the beginning. I didn't remember exactly the location.
But it was not like the first one, so we can consider it
like
as
the
part
middle.
of the middle, at the first part of the middle. Okay, so a man named John Humphrey Noyes and a small group of people moved there in 1848. They wanted a place where they could live according to their particular beliefs in their efforts to create a more equal society. Okay, so again, let's go to the answer. Okay, so what do we do here? When in doubt, as I told you before, we need to work with 2 answers. Okay, so which one can we discard? To visit his family, to change his way of life, or to know more about his country?
To visit his family.
Right, because he has no mention of siblings or relatives or anything. Okay, so family we can discard. Okay, so we are left with 2 answers. Does it imply or does it have any implications that he wanted to know more about his country?
No.
Not very much, right? Okay, so again, we were left with 2 answers. We analyzed them and we discarded one final one, and we were left with 1 answer, which will be to change his way of life. Okay, to change his way and the life of the other people that went with him there. Now, let's look for the answer of if you want to see the building. Okay, so what do you need to do? You need to pay to have a guided visit. You can join a small group of people, or you will have your own guide included. Okay, notice that this particular reading is a little bit higher than B1. Okay, because it is making inferences. Inferences at this level are a low B1 or a very high, a low B2 or a very high B1. Okay, and more or less, where can we find this answer? At the beginning, in the middle, or coming towards the end? Question 22, more or less, where in the test can we find it? Can we find it at the beginning?
No.
No, we do not find it at the beginning, so we need to look in the other parts. Okay, so let's take a look. So I think that we can find it like around here.
I'm sorry, what is the question we're looking for?
22.
Question 22.
All right.
Okay. And again is, if you want to see a building, what do you need to do? All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so notice that we found that we could find the answer like in that fourth, okay, paragraph, right? So let's go back to the question. Now, if you want to see a building, what do you need to do?
You've got to pay.
Right? But they need to pay to have a guided visit, or does
No.
the pay include anything else?
Same.
Right? Exactly. So notice that we could immediately drop B, because you can say, well, it doesn't say anything if the group of people is big or small. So we can drop it because we have absolutely no information about that. Now, we do have information about paying something, but does it only include a guided visit? No, because for the with the fee, they also included like the
tour.
the overnight and the tour and the breakfast.
Everything is included.
So you're not
that's
exactly. So you're not paying only for the guided visit. Okay, so those kind of elements is what makes those inferences a little bit higher. And normally this type of readings, okay, with those, let's say, more detailed or more accurate inferences are found at the end. So that is one of the beauties of the test, that as you move forward, also does the complexity of the questions that you are being asked. Okay, so at the end, in the reading comprehension, we have the highest level questions, okay, in the final exercises of reading comprehension. Okay, so the correct answer here will be C. You will have your own guide included, okay, because you're saying with the fee, you get the breakfast, you get the room, and you get the guide, okay? So, so C will be the correct answer. All right, guys, so finally, we're going to do a little exercise. Well, I originally intended it for in teams, okay, but let me see if we can we make teams? Okay, so we can have 2 teams, 2 and 2. Okay, you're going to assign 1 question for the Saber-Pro, focusing on structure and vocabulary, so you don't need like to build a text. It can be either multiple choice or multiple matching. I'll give you 10 minutes to prepare this question, then we will share it with the other team, okay? So let me put these instructions here in the chat, okay? And we're going to make 2 teams, okay? How about if we do it boys and girls? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so, oh my God, I'm not the, I'm not the host. Linnea, can you help me like organizing for to have breakout rooms, 2 breakout rooms.
Okay,
one for Alejo and Ricardo, and the other for Minnie and Judy.
So, espérate, yo veo cómo se hace eso. Ay.
No, abajito hay una parte que dice sección de grupos.
Dice votaciones, reacciones, más.
No, a la derecha. Más.
A la derecha, más. Dice, ya, sección de grupos.
Sección de
correcto.
grupos. Tú le das ahí. Le das a
Asignar
crear.
automáticamente, no, sino crear.
No,
¿cierto?
manual.
Manual.
Manual, que es la segunda
Manual y
opción.
crear. Listo. Entonces, en la sala 1 van a estar asignar. ¿A quién se le asigno? A
Mini y
Alejito,
Yuri.
Alejito y
Bueno,
a
Ricardo.
Ricardo. Listo.
Y en
Esa es la
dos,
1. Listo, la 1.
Mini y Yuri.
Y añadir una sesión, ok. Sí, para crear el 2, ¿cierto? Y en la 2, Mini y Yuri. Crear.
Okay, guys, so
Asignar.
that is the idea. For you to create one question, okay, as I told you, multiple choice or multiple matching, that focuses on structure and vocabulary. Okay, so 10 minutes to design your question, okay?
Y le doy a iniciar todas las sesiones, ok.
Yep.
Ok.
All right, guys, so
Listo.
10 minutes, chop, chop.
All right.
Linnea, and if you want to, you can pause the recording while they are working.
Oh, yes, so that it is not, a ver, pause,
Detener, sino
detener.
pausar. No, pausar.
Pausar aquí.
All right, guys, welcome back. Okay, so who would like to show us the answer, the question that you designed for the other team to answer? The boys or the ladies?
Ladies first.
Huh. Ladies first, and why, Alejo? Because you're a gentleman or because you haven't finished your question?
First, because we're gentlemen, we haven't finished our question.
Okay, but good. But first, because you're a gentleman. Ladies, did you finish your question? Mini, Judy?
Yes, we finished.
Okay, so
Yes,
can you
teacher.
share it with us?
You can share in the screen if you prefer.
Can share your screen if you want to. Okay, there we have it. Now, if you want to see wild animals, you should. Okay, so it's a multiple matching, right? Right? Ladies, so is it a multiple matching or a multiple
Yeah,
choice?
a multiple matching, yeah.
All right, very good. Okay, so boys, let's answer this multiple matching. Or would you mind, Mini, would you mind like putting it a little bit bigger so we can visualize it a little bit better? Much better. Thank you very much. All right, boys, so let's take a look. If you want to see wild animals, you should Ricardo, Alejo. What should you do if you
visit a zoo?
Very good, visit a zoo. If you want to see historical monuments or pieces of art, you should
visit a museum.
Visit a museum, very good. If you want to see many flowers, you should
Visit a garden or a botanical garden.
Again, and last but not least, if you don't want to hear loud music, you should avoid
Concerts and parties.
and parties. Very good. All right. Very nice work, ladies. Very, very good. Let's remember one key component of that makes these type of questions a little bit more complex. When we have a multiple matching, it's always good to put one, two, or three additional options, okay, just to prevent guessing, okay? So, so that the readers of the questions need to select very intently which answer is it, trying to minimize the amount of possible just wild guesses, okay? So in multiple matching questions, let's try to remember. And this is also useful for test design, okay? So thank you very much, Minnie and Judy, for your question. Okay. Okay, now it's the turn of the boys.
All right, we designed two, but we realized the first one was too ambiguous. So select the word that best fits the blank space. So I'm sorry, in the living room, the TV.
Okay,
right?
living room is 2 words.
All right, it's because it corrected it. I mean, the test processor. So the one that we realized, yes, I mean, the one that we normally know, will be watching. Yes. However, maybe it could, carry some ambiguity, since you can see, so you can say, I'm not paying enough attention to the TV. I was in the living room. I wasn't paying enough attention. So I was only listening to it.
However,
it misses something.
Which makes more sense.
Exactly.
Which makes more sense. Okay, because yes, normally there are people who just listen to TV or maybe as white noise, but in this sentence, say I was in the living room and watching the TV, okay, or watching TV, actually the TV, no, okay, watching TV, okay, it will be the most socially accepted, because yes, there are exceptions, there are cases in which people listen to the TV.
In that case, you would need the to as a preposition. So since the original sentence doesn't have it, the only possible answer is watching, both, because of what you mean. I mean, what you said about the one that makes the most or the best sense. And the other part, which is the grammar part, that this sentence here, I was in the living room watching TV, it's missing a preposition that it's needed for listen. You always listen to something. So that's why the only possibility in both ways is watching. And of course, your idea of your suggestion of eliminating the word the, since it's it's not necessary here. You say, I am watching TV or I was watching TV.
Exactly. All right, very good. And of course, we will discard. Okay, this question has a little bit of a higher level, because in this case, we are also dealing with collocations, which is normally a higher level of vocabulary development. Okay, because maybe someone who was translating can say, but looking, seeing, and watching are the same thing. But a person who knows the collocation, the correct collocation, will answer the question correctly. Okay, so this is kind of a B2-ish type of vocabulary question.
Yes, because of the knowledge of the very specific verb and the knowledge of the verb that doesn't require preposition. The only one is watch, both for the collocation thing and for the for the grammar part.
All right. And let's
the-
take a look at the second.
Yeah, this is the other one.
Okay, so you need to understand what is a feline, okay, for this. So, Minnie, which will be the answer to that question?
Sí.
A cat, exactly. Okay, because you understand what is a feline, okay? This question has a lower rank, okay? So this can be like somewhere between A2, a higher A2 and a lower B1, okay? Because we can relate this question to Spanish, okay? Feline, felino, okay? So those true cognates sometimes can help us to determine which will be the correct answer.
The interesting thing about this one is that it also, anyways, either all we know very well that it is very similar to Spanish, but it also deals with content. I mean, with subject matter content, not specifically and only about grammar or about the correct use of language, but it involves the person to know a concept of about animals, about kinds of animals. So that's the interesting part.
It is indeed. Thank you, Ricardo and Alejo, for your questions. Very, very nice job.
Thank you,
All right.
teacher.
Okay, guys. So whenever we are final piece of advice, whenever we are preparing for any test, for any test, this is also a good exercise, okay? To prepare questions or to make yourself questions, exchange questions with your classmates, okay? Because this also allows you to have a broader possibilities of what possible questions you might find on a test, okay? So now that you know the structure and the focus of the test, you can prepare answers and share them with your classmates, okay? And this will be a fantastic preparation exercise for any kind of standardized test. All right, guys. So that's it on my behalf. I don't know if you have any questions, comments.
Well, I want to thank you, Claudia, and thank you the students here and the other people, because this is a very good opportunity to review apparently basic things, because we know very well that we might feel the exam is not that difficult, that we have enough language level to respond it. But I really think the tips and the issues that you mentioned to pay attention to are very, very useful for everybody, even for teachers to review issues and review very specific contents that in many cases we teachers have to consider, because it's not only once in your life that you take standardized tests, but there are many ways in which you have to, sometimes for getting a job that requires very specific exams, etc., or simply for traveling, for having an opportunity abroad, etc. So I really want to thank you, Claudia, because with your expertise and fantastic attitude, you always make everything so fun and so nice and in a very relaxed way. Thank you, my dear. I think Alejo wants to say something else.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you because of this space. It was really enriching. Sometimes we think that because we have some experience with the language, we're going to succeed in this kind of test. But sometimes overconfidence is actually dangerous for us. Yeah, so it's really good to, you know, to review, to double check, and to go over this topics and these, you know, tips and hints again, so we can perform better when we, yeah, not only go to the standardized test, but also for our future ¿qué hacer? Yeah. And also because right now I am in the subject of English evaluation, so it is going to be really useful to finish it in a very good way, since I understood a lot of things here. So thank you so much for this space.
Thank you very much, Alejo, for those very, very kind words. It's a pleasure working with you today. Thank you, Linnea, for the invitation, for always believing in me. And
I always will. I will always do that, because you're one of those people that not only were my student, but you have taught me so much in all these years.
Thank you.
It is true.
You too. You too. You have been an amazing teacher for me as well, all these years.
Minnie wants to ask something.
No, just to say thank you for the time. I really appreciate these kind of spaces. They are very helpful for us. And sometimes we make mistakes in very simple things. And these are the moments to get out of doubts and to learn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minnie, very much.
Okay, for you guys, remember that in case you need to review more topics again, or your classmates, your friends who are about to take the Saber-Pro exam, please tell them that on Saturday at the same time, 8 o'clock in the morning, Claudia will be again having a similar or the same workshop. So please let them know. So for those who couldn't make it today, okay? So thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you. I have a fantastic day.
You too. Bye-bye.
For you, teacher.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.